Hi parents, hi. My name is Petra Deeter, and it's been a while since I gone live. It's been a little bit quiet, and I apologize because we have been very busy with a lot of behind the scenes activities, and I can't wait to be updating with you guys what's been going on. I've been doing a lot of travel. I wish I could give you more information, but hopefully we have more things that we can share with you soon. Hi, Elena. Hi, welcome. Thank you for joining us. So anyway, the reason I'm coming on live right now is because I wanted to share with you a few of the events that are coming up very soon. Octavio, hi, thank you. From Mexico City, that's a long way. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, so you guys know that we have been very active in Texas, pushing the legislation there. And there's a lot of things that's going on with Texas right now, if you are watching the news. And then also recently I went to Washington, D.C., because we are also looking to make changes at the federal level. I mean, this is not something that is easy. It's not something that can be done quickly, but we hope that at some point we can make the change that we all need, which is to get parental alienation recognized as child abuse, because that's what it is. There's no other way to put it. Parental alienation is really one of the most horrific form of child abuse, and yet it's the least recognized form of child abuse out there. It's damaging the child, it's damaging the parents, it's damaging the whole side of the family. It create so much impact to the society. So anyway, there's a lot of work to be done. And unfortunately, right now, we do not have any form of legislation that properly recognize parental alienation as child abuse. And that's why we're working so hard behind the scene. And I haven't been able to come on live and keep you guys updated with what's going on. But anyway, so now that I'm back for a little bit, so we're gonna try to get the events back up with you guys. Hi, Jacqueline. Thank you. Are you from Texas, Jacqueline? And Kayleen, hi, thank you. Octavia, I think you can just message us on VictimToHero Facebook page, and then someone in the team will let us know. You also can be in the, we have a Facebook group. It's it's Parental Alienation Victim Support Group. So there's a Facebook group, if you look it up. If you go into that group, you know, the team there that manage the group is, everyone's in the part of the team. So you can reach out to us there. So anyway, there are a couple of things. There's a couple of events that I don't want you to miss. So this Sunday, we have an event that to do with custody interference. Now, sometimes people may not know what custody interference is. So what it is you have a custody order. You go to court, you have a custody order that specifies a certain time that you can have your children. And then one of the tactics that many alienators will do is they will withhold the children despite the custody orders, just blatantly ignore the custody orders. So you turn up, it's time for you to pick up your child, or it's time for the alienator to drop off the child, or it's time to, for custody exchange at some location. And then you turn up, you're available, you made plan, and then there's no child to pick up. The alienators withhold the child, and doesn't matter what you say, you try to reach out, and there's nothing. And then many parents assume that there's nothing they can do. Actually, it's a helpless kind of feeling. It's really horrible. And then many parents try to contact the police force, the sheriff department or the police department. And then many times parents are being turned away because the officers don't understand this. So they will tell the parents that, oh, this is a civil matter. You have to go and talk to your lawyer. You have to go and file a court case, etc. And that's not true at all. There's a federal criminal code out there that specifies that custody interference is a felony. And then based on that, many states have law that have criminal code where custody interference is the felony. Some other state, it is a misdemeanor. So anyway, a lot of parents don't realize that, because when it's a criminal code, that means it's a criminal offense. It's not a civil matter, it's a criminal matter. And when it's a criminal matter, it's a matter that the district attorney office need to enforce. It's not something that you need to enforce. So the challenge is getting the law enforcement to be on your side. And a lot of the time, like I said, when you go and talk to the police or talk to the sheriffs, they will tell you that, oh, this is a civil matter and they don't want to get involved. But you have to get them on your side, and there are things that you can do. And then, yes, at the same time, you can also pursue this civilly as well, meaning you can be, so in the criminal court, you are the victim, so you don't need a lawyer. The district attorney is the people that enforce the law, and it would be the matter between the government and the offender, and you are the victim, that you are entitled to a victim advocate. But in a civil court, you are a party that go against the alienators. So anyway, there are many little things in between. I'm talking about eventually in the court, but before the point where you get to court, there's a lot of things that involve in between that you could do that prevent the case to get so bad that you don't get the child and you have to go to court. So anyway, so on Sunday, we're going to be talking about a lot of these things that you can do. And we have some people that have been very hands-on with helping parents dealing with custody interference. So on Sunday, the thing is, this is the kind of information that we don't want it to fall into the wrong hand. We don't want alienators to get this kind of information so that it would empower them in the wrong way. So we need to know who is coming. So this is not going to be a live stream event on Sunday. It's going to be a Zoom event, and you need to register for it. So if you look on our Facebook page, on VictimToHero, or if you are in our mailing list later tonight, there's going to be a newsletter that coming out into your email. So if you haven't registered to our mailing list, just go to VictimToHero.com website and sign up to our mailing list. And then there's going to be email tonight that will send out and let you know how you can register for the Zoom event on Sunday, where we're going to have different people talking about different aspects of, how do you enforce custody interference? How do you deal with that? How do you handle with that? We don't want it to get so bad to the point that you have to go to court. Hopefully you can get things done way before that. So anyways, this is going to be a Zoom call. Anyone that attending, we are going to ask that everyone has their camera on, because we wanted to see who's going to be in the room. We wanted to try our best to at least protect the information so that it go into the right hands. So anyway, Elena, thank you for being here. So Elena says that she's falling apart. Now this is very it's heartbreaking, and it's very unfortunate, because the kind of journey that you are going through as alienated parents is devastating. You I think it's hard to, I think it's impossible for anybody else that can understand what you are going through. So the feeling that you are falling apart, I totally get it and I understand. I think what's important is for you to know that you are not alone. The reason that you feel the pain that you are feeling is because you love your children, because you love your children so much, and that's why it's hurting you so much. So in some way, I think, look at the pain that you are experiencing and embrace it because of the love and the heart that you have. The grieving that you are experiencing is because of love. And I know it's tough. And the way that you deal with grief is really by taking action, by moving, making momentum, because when you stop, that's when you collapse. And so to deal with grief, you have to keep taking actions, because you need to be there for your children, despite everything, despite the fact that you may not get to see your children, and it may feel like you will never see your children again, but that's not true. You need to have that conviction that you're going to fight for your children and you're going to have their children back. And guess what? When you get your children back, you need your children to be able to see you in your best form. Your children need to be able to be so happy to see you healthy and thriving and successful and living your best life. So as hard as it feels right now, really try to live your best life for your children. If it's not just for you, for your children, because your children gonna need you to be strong. It may not feel that way, but your children is the worst victim here. They are in a lot worse situation than how you feel right now. So, Elena, I feel how you feel and I understand it. Like I mentioned, we have a support group on Facebook. It's called Parental Alienation Victim Support Group. So, join that group. Everyone's very supportive, and we have the moderators that out there to help you. Really don't feel like you are alone, and don't give up hope, because once you give up that hope, then you lose everything. Yeah. So Grace said the courts don't care and they completely erased me in Massachusetts. Grace, yeah, the court system is a very unfortunate situation, and that has a lot to do with the fact that parental alienation is not recognized within the four corners of the law. This is something that we are fighting so hard. And I mean, the team and I, we went and talked to many legislators. We had meeting with the Supreme Court Children Commission, who provide training to the commissioners, which is, the judges in the family court system. And they essentially said, well, this is not within the law. We can't do anything until it's being recognized. And that's why we're pushing so hard. And when we bring it up to them and we said, it's your responsibility to deal with child abuse. And they said, well, this is not child abuse. This is family custody. And we have to explain to them, this is child abuse. And we, like for people like us, for example, I am one of the adult child of alienation. And then we have a whole organization called the Hero Circle, which is full of the adult children victims. And so as children who are now adults, we can tell you that this is child abuse. So when we bring this up to them, they had to listen, and they started to kind of like, okay, that's an interesting conversation. This is a new kind of look into the problem. So we try to push for changes, but it's not going to happen very quickly, unfortunately. So I understand when you say that the court system is really bad. So that's why we also have a lot of events where we talk about how do you deal with parental alienation in court. If you haven't seen those, check out in our video tab, where we have interview with attorney Ashish Joshi, attorney Brian Ledmer, and a few other attorney. And then on next Friday, actually at 10:30 Pacific time, we have an event with attorney Brian Ledmer, who is an amazing attorney in Canada. And we're going to be talking specifically about Canada, because as you know, when it comes to the law, every jurisdiction have its own law and have its own, dealing with it. So on next Friday, we're going to talk about the case law in Canada. It's very specific. We're not just talking about, what are the case law, but we also talk about how we can apply it. And a lot of parents, when I talk to them, a lot of them kind of misunderstand how case law is being applied. So really, this is going to be a very good chance for you. It's going to be a live stream event. So join us, and then that way you can ask questions to the attorney, Brian Ledmer. He's going to be there and he's going to answer your questions. We're going to try to address as many questions as we can. So that's next Friday. Like I said, if you are not in our mailing list, then join our mailing list, because we're going to be sending out the information on how you can join the event. Now, Grace said the court knows it's abuse, they just don't care. So the court is a machine, right? When you're talking about a system, it's a machine. It has a set of rule, and people like us, for laymen, when you look at the system, we go, okay, why doesn't a judge or a certain people do X, Y, and Z? It's in some ways they actually just doing their job. And the system is very inadequate. I'm in no way, making excuses for the system. The system is really pathetic. It's broken. But what I'm trying to say is what we need to change is we need to change from the foundation level. So we can't expect the judges to make decisions that are not within the four corners of the law. So in order for them to decide that this is child abuse, it has to be written in the law that this is child abuse. So it's very difficult. I mean, right now, the way that we are doing it is, it's kind of, we have to go the long way and try to educate sort of every judges from the ground up. And some judges are more open, some judges are more willing, some are more knowledgeable, some are not. And that's why it's so inconsistent for parents. And like you said, like Kaylin just said that, it's a worldwide problem because it's so inconsistent. So for us to be able to do this effectively, ultimately, the goal for us is we have to change the law to get this recognized as child abuse. And then once it's written in the law, then we can now have the ground to go in and say, okay, now it's written as child abuse. You now have to enforce it. It's no longer a matter of debate. It's written down. So that's why it's important. So anyway, like I said, on Sunday, this Sunday is an event to do with custody interference. Next Friday is an event to do with Canadian case law. Could someone please help Elena with the link to the support group? If not, Elena, I'll make sure that I respond to you in a little bit. And then, oh, okay. So I have a question. This is a question that was sent to me by one of the researcher, one of the expert in the field. What this researcher trying to find is looking for specific example. So if you have this, when one of the extended family member, maybe grandparents, maybe uncle, auntie, or somebody in the extended family, trying to do something for the alienated child, something nice, and the alienated child refused because of parental alienation. They're doing a particular study on this, so they're looking for specific example. So let's say if your father, the grandparent, try to take the child on a Disneyland trip, for example, and then the child refused because of parental alienation. So that kind of example. So if you have it, could you please let us know? Yeah, we're looking for very specific example, and yeah, please message us. This is not for me, this is for one of the researcher in the field. So anyway, what else? Let's see. So if you haven't seen, we did recently an interview of Dr. Stanley Claymore. Now, this is a very, very important interview about reunification. We barely covered, not even, I don't think we barely cover even like a third or even a fourth of what reunification should consist of, but we started to deal with reunification. Now, if you don't know Dr. Stanley Claymore, he's a pioneer expert in the field of parental alienation. He created, he's the author of 2 books. One is, and both of them are published by the American Bar Association. One of the first books that he published is really one of the first books in the field. It's called Children Held Hostage. And he had the largest set of clinical data from his clinic dealing with, custody cases. So he had over 1,000 cases. And back then, when the book, like the first version of the book came out, it has over 700 data points, like over 700 family. So that's a lot of cases. So he had very extensive data and very in-depth knowledge about parental alienation. So he published that book called Children Held Hostage, I think, I don't know how many years ago. Now that it's up to, I think, he's working on, I think, the 3rd edition now. It's going to come out in the 3rd edition. But, in the 2nd edition, there's over 1,000 cases. And then the second book that came out last year is called Parent-Child Reunification. So that book specifically is talking about how to reunify the relationship between the parent and the children. Now, so if you try to Google Dr. Stanley Claymore, you almost could never find anything. He's never done an interview. He doesn't do YouTube. He doesn't do videos. He doesn't have a website because his clinic is just overwhelmed. Like they are the most highly sorted clinic, really one of the most highly sorted clinic in the country, and he's one of the top recognized experts in the field. So he says no digital footprint whatsoever, like you can't find him. So we are very grateful because our website and our Facebook page is the only place that he ever done online information sharing. So we did 2 interviews with him. The first interview, we talked about parental alienation. He explained, what's going on, how do you recognize it, what happened. And then the second interview we just did, I think, I like to say 2 weeks ago, is focusing on reunification. Again, this, like I mentioned, we hardly cover much of it at all, but it was a lot of information. I think we went for an hour and a half or 2 hours. I'm not sure how long it went for, but it was a lot of information there, very, very in-depth. So I hope that you catch it. If you haven't, please check it out. It's on the video tabs of our Facebook page, VictimToHero Facebook page. So click on the video tab and you'll find it. And then he's gonna come back and we're gonna pick up where we left off. So if you have any question for him, make sure you comment in that video so that we can try to pick up from there. But we wanted to cover as many scenarios as possible. So from, the mild case of parental alienation to the moderate cases, to the severe cases, to the cases that you don't have any context whatsoever and the children are now adults. So there's a lot there to cover. And the style that he does is he's very specific about what you can say and what you should do and things like that. And if you watch it, you'll see it. It's really, really good information. So I hope that you check that out. And like I mentioned, if you guys have any question at all for any of the events in the past or in the future, please, let us know, because like, for example, custody interference is an event that you have to register in advance. It's a Zoom event. And so check out the event tab on our Facebook page. And then there's a link there for you to register to the event. So if you have any question, prepare your question because it's an interactive session. The same with the Canadian case law event next Friday. There's an event page there. So if you have questions, make sure you're prepared because Brian Levman is going to be live and we're going to look at the questions that you have and we're going to try to answer you. And then, like I mentioned, Dr. Stanley Claymore is going to come back. We have someone, I don't want to mention the name yet, that's gonna come back, that's gonna join us very soon. We don't have a date yet, but he's gonna be talking about dealing with the family court. And this person is not a lawyer. He's an activist or an advocate, I should say, with a lot of experience that talk a lot about how parents can handle the family court and how parents should be aware and the misconception and what to do when you don't have a lawyer and how you should handle your case and things like that. So we have that event coming up soon. I think I'm anticipating, probably not next week, but probably the week after. So like I mentioned, if you just join our mailing list, we'll make sure that we send it out so that you don't, so that you know how to join the event. So anyway, so there's that event coming up. I know that we have a few other events that I can't think of right now. But anyway, so just wanted to come on and say hello and try to update with you with a few things. Milad said the courts are too slow. Yes, very, very slow. That's why there's a lot of things you wanted to do before you, like, it's sort of the last option. Not every case, court is not the solution for every case. It's definitely not the best tool out there. Sometimes you have to, and the reason we we do have a lot of events about how to deal with court. It's sometimes you have to, and sometimes that's the only option that you have, and we want you to have the knowledge so that you can handle it. But we're not saying that it's the ultimate solution at all. Is not good. Mary, yeah, Mary is from Canada, and she's her case is very tragic. 16 years of alienation, and the children are now adults, and then they are still fighting in court. It's really terrible. Okay, let's see. Kaylin, thank you. Kaylin said thank you for what you do. Thank you so much. Grace said, I've been trying to educate every judge that I can to view it as torture, child abuse, and continuing domestic violence. Yes, it's absolutely both child abuse and domestic violence. I think we need education at all levels. You know, we need education at the system level, obviously. You know, we need the judges, we need the police, we need the mental health professionals, psychologists, psychiatrists, therapists, you know, the school counselor, everybody, like, you know, at the system level, we need education and awareness. And then we also need education and awareness for the parents to deal with this. And then we need education at the public level so that the society recognizes, because one of the problem right now is you are the victim. You're being abused, but yet the society is looking at you as if you're the problem. Like when someone hears that your child is not talking to you, your child is rejecting you, the first thing they look at you and they think is, what is wrong with you as a parent? And so that's the problem. That's a fundamental problem. It's victim blaming. And so we need the public to change that, because until the public recognize that this is a problem and recognize who the true victim is, we're gonna pointing finger the wrong way, and we're not providing the kind of support that we should for the victims out there. And then we also need preventative education, which is to do with how do we educate our children, the next generation, so that they can have critical thinking, so they're not being influenced and brainwashed by this sort of situation. So we really need education at all levels. Okay, Kaylin said this is a worldwide epidemic, power control and money in high places. Yeah, it's a very complex problem. So let's see, what else? Other question. Okay, Claudia just posted the link to the Facebook group, Ayla. So if you have trouble finding it, just check the chat room. Claudia just posted the link there. Thank you so much, Claudia. Let's see. 6-month review. Okay. Okay. So I think I've checked all the questions. If I missed any question, you can continue to let me know. I thought there's something that was very interesting, but I think we'll discuss this maybe middle of next week or something, because I want to pick this up. This was very interesting. It's that, so one of the questions that we posted was, what are the do's and don'ts for family and friends to best support alienated parents? And there were a lot of comments there that I thought really, really, really interesting and also really important. So I hope that we're going to pick that up maybe Tuesday or something like that, and we'll talk to you then. But other than that, have a good weekend, and I see you guys on Sunday. Thank you so much for your support, and you know, try your best to take care of yourself, because your children need you, really. You deserve a lot more than what you're going through, and it may not feel like it, but you're a lot stronger than you realize. And I know that what you're feeling now feel unbearable. It's a grief that it's more than just, because it's not just the hurt of you, but it's you watching your children suffering. And that's why I think it's a lot harder. I think people could People could abuse you and you may not even feel it. But when you see it in your children, in somebody that you love, that's when it hurt you a lot more. And I think that's what's going on here. So I understand the pain that you're going through. We had an event. So if you check out the videos where we interview an expert in dealing with grief, and so we talk specifically about how to apply the method of dealing with grief when it comes to being alienated. So check out that in the video tab as well. And I hope that it helped. Anyway, have a good night. Thank you so much.